I'm Jim Morningstar, Director of In Wellness. Today's Life in Wellness series topic is working and playing, the eighth life area of our wellness wheel. How we structure our life's activities tells us much about our values. What we, quotes, have time for is a product of what we prioritize as important, as well as what is available in our environment. In our quest for a happy and healthy lifestyle, it is our attitudes toward working and playing which determine a great deal about our life satisfaction. Today's class will give us the opportunity to examine our attitudes and explore changes that can increase our life satisfaction. Here are some of the wellness wheel thoughts on working and playing. Most of our daily life falls under one of these two categories. For us adults, the majority of time is usually spent focused on work with far too little time allowed for play. What passes for play for most adults is more likely to be escape activities, distraction from the responsibilities of work. Many people turn to the entertainment industry instead of engaging in the joyful, creative, spontaneous play that's vital to our well-being. Until schooling begins, children usually spend most of their time playing, a crucial activity for their development. The same activity may be considered to be work or play, depending on whether or not the activity is goal-directed. When we are really playing, we lose touch with all concern about performance or accomplishment and become totally absorbed in our activity. There's no sense of should. Whatever we do is okay. We are in the flow. This section is in part about recapturing the spirit of play that can bring balance into our lives when we feel burdened with work and responsibilities. Work and play are the stuff of our lives. Almost all your waking hours are spent doing one or the other. Because these activities are so dynamically connected with self-concept, a sense of meaning and purpose, and in some cases, with your very survival, they are strong determinants of wellness. If there are significant ongoing problems in either work life or play, your state of health will usually reflect it. Playing and working are not separate categories of activity. What is play to one may be work to another. Compare a sandlot baseball game to a major league game, for instance. Some people don't consider jobs as work at all because they enjoy them so much. And others can make a chore out of their recreation. In any case, rather than changing what you do for work or play, it is increasing awareness and a change in attitude that is important. You may want to stop to examine the roles working and playing take in your life. If they do not enhance your experience, you may want to change some. We'll give you the tools to identify what is not fitting for you and to move towards a lifestyle that is more nurturing and fulfilling. Most of us suffer from guilt when taking time for ourselves. We're often embarrassed by our enjoyment of pleasure and the need to justify it to others and to ourselves. Someplace deep inside, we harbor old tapes that we persist in playing over and over. They say such things as, "You're wasting your time," or "Watch out when things are going too well," or "This is selfish," or "You should be doing something more productive." They may have come to us from our parents, our religious leaders, our workplace, or our teachers, and they are often hard to turn off. If the fact remains that you need justification to allow yourself to play, then try this one. Nourishment of yourself is the best preventive medicine currently available. The list of stress-related diseases grows daily, and many of us are employed in highly stressed jobs. We can hardly be living a life to the fullest if we have no energy with which to play, no inclination for simply fooling around. Pablo Picasso is quoted as saying, "It takes one a long time to become young." Play is one of the primary ways we retain our youthful spirit. But what is play? The dictionary refers to play as recreation. This is a very significant word. Hyphenate it, capitalize it, and it becomes recreation. This is play in the fullest sense of the term. To make new, to vitalize again, to inspire with life and energy. This is creativity at its best. Everything creative is play. Playing is a form of self-nourishment. Playing is not something you do. It's rather an attitude you create at any time, in any place, which transforms the mundane into the divine, the boring into the joyful, the required into the desired, and the present moment into a sacrament. Take a moment to identify the words that are associated with play. Laughter, frolic, fun, sports, crazy, exciting, and lots of other similarly active words. But play can also be described as absorbing, fascinating, peaceful, beautiful, flowing, and restful. Perhaps one of the reasons we don't play more is that we have defined play inadequately. We have looked around at what the society tells us is fun and accepted this as the meaning of play. We have remembered our childhood and have sought out swings and slides to give us pleasure. We have forgotten natural abilities we had for enjoying a rock, an abandoned tire, or a cardboard box. We frequently consider play as the opposite of work, thus solidifying the dichotomy between the two. Play is given a backseat to purposeful, meaningful activity. It's something to be done after hours, or on weekends, or with children, certainly after the work is done. And it frequently costs a lot. Mary recently posted a list of goals for the year on her bathroom mirror. One of them was to save more money so she could, quotes, do fun things. Now, this attitude is far from uncommon. Many people are frustrated during their vacation periods and only too glad to get back home. They've accepted the notion that play is something you do, some place to go, an expensive camper, or a piece of sporting equipment. When it doesn't prove fun for them, they feel disappointed and out of sorts. What's wrong with me anyway? Osho, an author and spiritual teacher, wrote, "Life's door, love's door, God's door, they all open when you are playful. They all become closed when you become serious." Our concept of work also has a profound effect on our well-being. The first definition Webster offers for the noun work includes the words effort, exerted, to do purposeful activity, labor and toil. The next definitions include employment, business, task, and duty. It's enough to tire you out simply reading about it. It sounds so very serious and difficult, and that's often the crux of the problem with it. We use work to give structure to our time and meaning to our lives, to earn our livelihood, to express our talents, our dreams, our creativity, to change ourselves and the world at large. As such, it's both necessary and desirable. But when it becomes hard and serious to the point of causing excessive stress or depression or a sense of personal frustration and worthlessness, it undermines both our health and our happiness. That's why we consider work in the context of wellness. If you listen to yourself or other people talk about work, you get a sense of what it means for vast segments of the population. People describe work as the rat race, the grind, the dog-eat-dog competition, the sentence, publish or perish, the treadmill, meeting the deadline, killing ourselves to complete a project. When Barry leaves his home each morning to teach at the local school, he talks of entering the madhouse. When Tina goes to the office, she leaves words that she can be reached in the dungeon. Kids refer to school as prison, and in fact, many of our educational institutions look that way. When work is this serious and this hard, it robs energy from the mind, body, and spirit and contributes to the creation of an internal environment in which illness can easily develop. Work creates illness when it becomes so serious that we assume we can't not do it. If I don't teach these poor kids, who will? Or we allow it to slowly suffocate us because we think we have no choice, no alternatives. If I quit this job, what else would I do? Or it's based on unrealistic expectations and demands that neglect the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of human beings. My boss expects me to do the work of 3 people. There are limitless real-life examples that illustrate these attitudes and conditions and what they lead to. Take Dennis, for instance. He says he wants a meaningful relationship with a woman. He would like to settle down and have a family. But for the past 12 years, he simply hasn't had the time or energy to pursue this goal. As a caseworker for a social service department in a large rural community, he has allowed his work to eat up his life. Even on his day off, he is on the phone checking with his clients. If you ask him whether he is really happy in his life and work, he will candidly and sadly admit that he isn't. He simply doesn't know how to break the pattern. At the end of one long winter, Tom reported that he had 3 colds. One just barely cleared up when the next one happened. When a friend asked him if things were going well at work, he was startled by the question. Was his friend really implying a connection? As they talked, Tom disclosed that he hated his job as a reading teacher in a large city school. His work had become increasingly tedious over the past winter, and he was really looking for an excuse that would allow him to quit without feeling guilty. Gene was employed by the U.S. government, and his own health and welfare were at stake in the job. He suffered a continual battle with stomach ulcers, had hypertension, and had trouble sleeping. The pressures on him were enormous, and he disliked his work. But he liked his large salary very much. He wanted his second car. He wanted his boat. He wanted his financial security. He would have preferred to be healthier, but assumed that since it wasn't possible in his present job, he'd simply tolerate the symptoms. Mary described herself as bored to death. She was a bank teller, but she wanted to be a pilot. She wanted to work in an environment in which her abilities would be challenged, in which she would be stimulated to grow, in which she could develop more in-depth relationships with other people. Most Monday mornings found her with a headache, but what to do? Burnout is an all too familiar phenomenon in all jobs at all levels. It happens when people are stuck in jobs they do not like, in jobs that fail to satisfy their needs. Burnout is quite common among those in the helping professions. The helpers often turn out to be rescuers who take on unnecessary and unrealistic burdens and actually undermine their own health. Here are 5 ways to prevent burnout. First, self-care. Nutrition, exercise, create a supportive environment. Secondly, regular deep relaxation and frequent mini relaxations. Third, awareness of rescuing tendencies and feelings of victimization. Fourth, ask directly for what you want. Increase your getting positive strokes economy. 5, allow your inner child to be creative. As already stated, it's our attitude toward both work and play that make them either nurturing or depleting for us. How can we keep both of these activities in the nurturing and fulfilling realm for ourselves? One of the most important reasons for being alive is to experience life. For without the sense of wonder, excitement, the emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, life is hardly worth living. And children teach us about the full throttle experience of life. If we are willing to watch children play in their natural interactions with the world around them, we can learn a great deal about what has been temporarily obscured by our adult seriousness. We will see what it means to be in touch with our essential goodness, our innate sense of wonder, our free range of emotions. For the more serious head cases amongst us, learning to play again can be a means of getting in touch with yourself. When a child plays or works, since many children love to imitate and create what they call work, she does so spontaneously. She puts her whole self into the task at hand. When they feel safe, children, especially younger children, embrace all these behaviors. Joyful experimentation with life, fascination with anything in their environment, a bumblebee, a ray of sunlight, unlimited reign of the imagination, trying out various behaviors, imitating others, being everything, an airplane, a famous ballerina, learning consequences naturally, experimenting, freedom to be silly, fantastic, wrong. Playing or working in this way nurtures children immensely. Through play, they learn about the world, and along with the growth of their confidence, self-esteem, strength, and experience, they experience the mastery that is both impetus and foundation for further learning. Learning consequences of their actions and attitudes naturally, they adapt or ask for help or sit down and cry. A short time later, they're ready to start something new or tackle the old problem again as if for the first time. Either way, what we often see is a no problem attitude, even with the most challenging tasks. Isn't that what we all want? Stress-reducing activities can transform your attitudes toward work and enliven your state of health. Some of the many techniques that can help you cope with stress and transform your attitudes towards work are moving and breathing exercises designed to reduce stress, some of which we've done in past classes. Use creative brainstorming to relieve stressful problems. Asserting yourself in order to make your needs known, and breaking typical game-playing patterns of communication. Meditation techniques can also be used to get you in touch with yourself and aid you in dealing with the pressures of life which confront us all. Creativity in bringing a playful attitude to bear on your work may help you to get a new perspective on your job. This can mean something as simple as rearranging your office, giving a flower to each of your coworkers, inviting your boss to play tennis, or changing the music on the radio station. One small company in Colorado found that weekly staff meetings could become brainstorming sessions in how to personalize and relax the working environment. Productivity increased at the same time. How can we transform our work environment to increase our sense of vitality and nourishment? Let's do the exercise on handout 1, being nurtured and fulfilled at work. Step 1, list 5 to 10 ways you can help yourself feel more nurtured and fulfilled at work. Have some of these be changes in yourself and some be changes in the environment. Don't worry about their practicality as you heartstorm. I use this term instead of brainstorm to indicate more of what pleases you rather than just listing clever ideas. So just list what comes to you. Secondly, share with a partner or self-reflect for several minutes. Now, write 2 changes you are willing to institute within yourself and 2 environmental changes you are willing to make before our next meeting. A lists the self changes and B, the environmental changes. I suggest you stop the video, if at all possible, and complete handout 1 now. One of your wellness inventory items asks you to rate yourself on the statement, I value myself for who I am, not just for what I do. There is little doubt that your self-concept and the work you do are intimately connected. Typically, when people meet, the first question they ask the other is, "What do you do?" To which each responds with a job description. "I'm a butcher, a baker, I'm a candlestick maker." The trouble is that when we are temporarily out of work, or when we lose enthusiasm for our work, and even when we are merely on vacation, many of us feel that we've lost our identity. While it is true that meaningful work enhances your sense of self, it's dangerous to tie up all your self-worth in your work alone. As you are more than just a physical body, so are you more than the work you do. Regardless of what you do, you are a complex, unique, powerful, and beautiful human being. The more you open to your truest self, the more you accept yourself for who you are, not just what you do. The more open you become to reading the signs that point in the direction of meaningful and satisfying work.